Hey everybody, Kyle here. Today we're going to look at OneDrive and the sharing of files from OneDrive, various places like Outlook and Teams, and how to look at version history, how to restore old versions. So let's take a look here at the window we have open, which is the OneDrive folder, my personal OneDrive folder for this Ascension training account. And I'll show you real quick how to get there in case you're not aware. You can go to the File Explorer icon in your taskbar, and you'll want to click on Ascension's OneDrive Ascension CRE, not the regular OneDrive. That's actually will open up a different window. So make sure it says Ascension CRE here. It takes you to the folder. Another way you can do it is go on the bottom right hand corner here. The blue cloud is the OneDrive icon. It gives you a rundown of the recent things that have been changed in your OneDrive and whether it's up to date or not. You click on Open Folder, it takes you to the same place. So let's take a look at this document here and say we want to share it with somebody. If we wanted to share this with somebody in the company, the two easiest ways to do this would be through Teams or attaching it as a file in Outlook to an email. Let's take a look at Teams first. So let's say we need to send this document to Ace Leaseman. And we've got the chat open already. If you want to know how the chats work and how Teams works, we have another video for that. So you attach the file with the paperclip icon and then click on OneDrive. Click on Important Steps if you want to share and click Share. If you want to add a message to that, you can, or you can just hit Enter and just send it. So now this has been shared with Ace, and he can edit this in real time, and it's a living document, which means there's no need to create a new document on his side and then send it back to me. Any changes he makes are going to be inside this single document. Same thing with any changes I make to this document. If we wanted to send it to someone in an email, we open up Outlook, create a new email, and we would go to Attach File. After that, you want to do Browse Web Locations, and then click OneDrive. Choose the file you want to attach, and click Insert. Now, this is different than files you would normally share on your local computer because you have two different options here. You can do share link, which means that it's very much like sending it through Teams. It's a living document that it can be edited in real time and changes are made right away. Or you can attach it as a copy, so that way they have their own copy that's offline that they change or they can change, and it has no effect on the original document. Sometimes that can be useful. It just depends on the situation and what you're trying to use the document for. So that's how you do it in Teams and Outlook. Now I'm going to show you how to do it for someone outside the company. And if you wanted to share, let's say, and when I say outside the company, you can do it through the Outlook way, for sure, if you'd like. And usually you do the save a copy option if you were attaching it to an email. But the more preferred and secure way would be to do it this way with the link. That way you have full control over the link and who has access to it and for how long. So we go to the document we want to share, and like anything, there's a lot of ways to do this, and I'll just show you a couple of them. If you right click on the document here, it'll give you a whole list of options that Windows normally does, but when you have OneDrive installed, you get this icon and option up here called Share with the blue cloud. If you click on that, it'll give you a little share box that comes up. And in order to share this to someone, you're going to want to click on this anyone with the link can edit option. And then you're going to want to choose your options here. So there's a couple different things you can choose. You can choose whether or not to allow editing, which means if you uncheck this box, they only will be able to open it and look at it, and they can download it, but they cannot edit it. Even further, you can block the download, which is only allowed when you disable editing, by the way. which means they only have the ability to view it online and they cannot download the file. They can only look at it. That's it. You can also choose to set a password, which with the link expiration that I'm about to go into is kind of redundant most of the time. So if you look at the link expiration here, you'll see that there's a date for Saturday, May 8th, 2021. That is because we have set for the Ascension organization that all links for OneDrive have a maximum time of 180 days. Now you can do that much shorter, but that's the max that we allow. If you want to change this, you click on the date, and then you can scroll up to any date from between now and 180 days from now. So say we only want them to be able to see it for 1 day or access it for 1 day. The most secure way, if you do not want someone to be able to download it and keep that document past the next day or whatever number of days, would be to not allow editing, to block the download, and then set it for the time frame specified. That way you can let them see it for only as long as you want them to see it, and they can't download it, so there's no way for them to be able to access that information again. But you can also allow editing and have that same option as well. You can have them be able to edit and download it, but they can only see the recent changes after they've downloaded it past this date. Before this date. So this is very important to note because people's emails can get hacked, their computers can get hacked, and if that happens, they usually go through all their emails and try to find links or access to other things. And if this link is expired, it'll be of no use to them whatsoever. So it's a security measure to make sure that people that are not supposed to get the link are not going to have it. And if for whatever reason you've made this time frame too short, you can always recreate a new link with another time frame. It's no problem. You can see the options here too for people in the organization or people with existing access or specific people. As I mentioned before, the best way to send it to somebody inside the company would be to share it through Teams or through email. Now, if you wanted to share a folder, that's different. So you can share folders as well, not just files. So if you wanted to share this, you can do the same way as you did with the other one. You right-click on it, go to Share, and you can do the same options. And now, obviously, the block download is not available because it's a folder. So you cannot apply that to all the files in that folder, unfortunately. Okay. So once you've gotten your options set here, let's say we want to share this training videos folder. And we've got the time frame, we don't care, we're fine with the 6 months. And then we hit apply. And then you can do this two ways. You can either send it to them directly with their email address or copy the link. I recommend copying the link. Hit copy here. That will copy it to your clipboard. You can create a new email and say, hey, check this out. There you go. It automatically formats the link so it gets rid of all that mumbo jumbo looking stuff after the link. All they got to do is click on this nice friendly little folder looking link. That, I think, is the best way to do it for most cases. Alright, so that's how to share. So let's take a look at version history. So now that we know how to share, it's really important for us to understand who's using these files when they've changed things. So that way, if something has been changed, like a broken Excel formula or something in the document, you don't have time, it's a large document, you don't have time to look and see what's all been changed or what has not been changed. So a couple things up here. Let me get rid of this. If you look at the top, there's a couple important things to note about OneDrive saved files. You'll see that this says autosave on at the top here. That means that this file is either in my OneDrive or in someone else's OneDrive, and it's currently being edited in real time. If you want to turn this off, It'll only save locally. You also will note up here that the name of the document has two little people symbol next to it. That means it's being shared. And you also note that it tells you when it's last modified. It's pretty handy information to have just right off the bat. When you click on it, you'll be able to tell where it's located. When it says just OneDrive Ascension CRE, that means it's in your OneDrive. If it's in someone else's OneDrive, it'll say something else. It'll say documents, and it'll have the name of the person's email underneath here. So let's say we want to go look at the version history because we want to know what's been changed on this document. Go to the version history. On the right side here, it'll tell us what has been changed and when it's been changed and by who. The Ascension Training is the name on this account. If it was someone else, like Kyle Wood, for example, it would say modified by Kyle Wood. It would say their actual name. So let's open up the very first version of this document. Well, of course, as soon as you create a document, there's nothing in it. So the very first version has nothing, which is sometimes, if it's a small document, you can just eyeball it and go, oh yeah, this is the difference, obviously blank and words. But if you have a larger document and you need to compare all the different things that are different about it in that particular version, you can click compare up here. We'll also open yet another document, but this is a compare results one. And it'll tell you what has been changed and who did it. Ascension Training inserted this, and it'll mark it all in red. So you can tell, hey, man, they've changed all this stuff. And if it's multiple things, it'll have multiple red lines on what's been changed, and it'll say it over here as well. So it's really nice to be able to use this to tell, when you have especially when you have multiple people working on a document, you want to make sure that you know what's been changed, if there's any problems, or just to keep you up to date on what's been edited. If you want to restore it, you click restore here. There we go. Now the document is as it was on that version. It is now back to its original state. Let's say, oh man, and you see here, it'll tell you on the version history, hey, it was restored by Ascension Training at this time. But let's say, oh, you know what? We actually need to go back. This was the correct version. We messed up. Okay? Well, just restore it back to that version. No problem. Everything's there. Makes it very easy to modify documents and keep track of versions without having actual different files for each version like we've had in the past, where you'd have version 1, version 2, version 3, what have you, version 2020, version 2019, and then keeping track of which one was which and having to rechange the name for each one was kind of a pain. Now, you only have to have one single document in your documents files to keep track of all those different changes. Okay, so that's all we have for today. Thanks for listening.